All right, we're now going to look at compositions and algebra functions using graphs and tables. So this is, again, uh, the purpose is for just kind of visualize the exchange between the output of one function and the input of the other in a more mechanical setting. We already did that with a little diagram, but now we're going to do it using a graph. All right, so the whole point is to get hopefully a full understanding of what the process is here. So that if I want to compute here what f plus g of 2 is, again, remind ourselves that here I'm just adding the two functions, and I'm going to write the two results, g of 2 here, and follow the table. So here's my function f of x, or in this case, the graph, not a table. F of 2, here's 2, follow it up, hits the graph, 90 degrees, turn, and look at the y output, and it's a 3. I write it over here. Plus, and now do the same for the g of 2. So g of 2 is the graph here, g of 2, follow it, and I get a 2. So add them together, boom. And that's it. That's the whole meaning of that uh, process. Okay, let's look at another one, B. This says multiply. So f times g of 0 means f of 0 times g of 0. So the same thing, I'm going to go back to each respective graph, find the 0, and then move up or down until I hit the graph. And here I get, immediately I hit -3. So f of 0 is -3 times g of 0. Here I'm at 0, and I'm already hitting the graph, so it's 0. G of 0 is 0. So -3 times 0 is 0. Done. Let's look at next one, f of g of 2. So now we're composing. And notice the difference between composition and multiplication. One's the solid circle, and the other one's a rounded circle. So I enter this, f of g of x, and remind myself that this means that g is going to be the inside function, and the other one's going to be the outside function. So now what and more particularly, I want to find -2. So let me do that instead, f of g of -2. So I go to g of -2, find -2 on the x-axis, and I get a 0. So now I'm going f of 0. But unlike this one, I'm not multiplying, I'm composing. So the output is not necessarily 0. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. Now I have to take that output, which was 0, go to f and find it. Here we are. I'm at 0, and I get -3. So the output here is -3. Okay. Good, 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 good. All right, and now let's look at D. This is, oh, look, now I'm composing 3 times. So this is going to be a little trickier to write. I'm going to just give room to write it just. So f is the outside function, then g is the next outside function, and finally f is the one completely inside. Okay, and this is of 1. Oh, let me write this one more time, sorry. I forget I'm writing it differently. So f of 1. Okay, and 1. Great. So what does that equal? Well, again, I'm going to write things next that I'm not going to touch. Notice how I did it here. I wrote f this, f of g of -2, and then I wrote f of, and then I found it on the graph. So notice that, look very carefully how I'm doing this. So now I write the things that I'm not going to change first. Then I'm going to come over here and write, okay, find f of 1. Now I'm looking at f of 1, here's 1. Here's my function f, and come over and I see -3. So now I'm getting a -3 coming out of here. Close, close. Now again, I'm going to come over here and find f of 3. Sorry, g of -3. So I'm going to write g sorry. All right, f of, and now we find g of -3. G of -3. All right, here's my g function, -3. Right down, hit the graph, and move across, and then get -1. And now I'm ready to do my last one. F of -1. Oh, but it's f, so I need to look at the right function. And I want to make sure that I do that right the first time. F of 1. Yep, I did. Okay. Just making sure I didn't goof up. F of -1 is what? So I come over here, -1, read across, and it's a 2. -2. And there's my result. And we could do that also using a table. It's the same process. Just the information is presented a little different. This is all my input. Okay. And I want f divided by g of 2. So I'm looking at f of 2 divided by g of 2. But here I'm going to look at each part of the table. F of 2. Here's a 2. Look at now the line with the f only, and I get -1. That's the numerator. Again, look at the input of 2. Unlike this one, I had to go back between two graphs. Here, the input is all located in the same spot. So again, I just look at the different horizontal line. So g of 2 is now a3. So -1/3. How about this one? Okay, so here is a composition. A little different. H of, notice I'm going to write it out this time before I do anything, because this is different. Here I have to wait. I can't, here I've acted. I got this one and immediately built this. But here I have to go in the particular order. I could have done the other way around. It doesn't really matter. But here it does matter. I need to find f of 4 first, so then notice I'm going to write this down. Okay, this I'm not touching. I just need to find f of 4. F of 4 is a -1. Now that I found that, it says h of -1. H of -1 is a 0. And now I'm done. Okay. Let's do another one. Should have been C. Okay. G of 3. Okay, same thing. G of the same thing. G. So it's getting vetted through itself twice. That's okay. So again, I need to find G of 3 first. So the other G, I'm going to write down, leave it alone, find G of 3. So again, practice doing it the way I'm doing it, and I'll promise you, you will have great success. G of 3, here's 3, now G is in 4. Now continue and take that output and put it back to the input. G of 4 is 5. So the answer here is 5. Great. Let's look at another one. Again, now I'm composing 3 times. So I'm going to write the outermost. Notice when I'm going to write in this other format, I go from left to right, looking at each position. Next F, and lastly, each time I write parentheses, G, and finally I read one more to figure out what G is about to do. And now I start closing these parentheses. And the thing I'm going to find is G of 0, so that means these two, H and the F, I'm going to write down. And now I'm ready to find G of 0. G of 0 is a 0. Great. F of 0. F of 0 is a 1. But notice I should have first done this, because it makes it so much easier if I did that. Now I don't have to think about this. I can concentrate on F of 0, which again gave me a 1. And lastly, H of 1 is 0. Okay. And again, here's the 1, and then I look at the H line to get me the 0. Lastly, I have this one, which is just subtraction. So this one, notice, go back to no longer composition, so I can find each one separately. F of 2 is a -1, so here's my input. Look at the F line, and look at the output of the F line. And finally, subtract. Notice things that I'm not going to use, I'm going to write down in G of 2. Here's my input of 2, find the G line, it's a 3. So now I'm ready to do -3, -1, subtract 3 gives me a -4. And now I am done.